And let me share my screen. Okay, so hope you're able to see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, so let me open here. Okay, let me try to create one more file here, and I'll name it as app service. So today we are going to discuss about Azure app services. Okay, so this Azure app service is like HTTP based solution, whereas okay, so we can host any type of applications, whether it could be code based, whether it is could be containerized based, okay, whether it could be like within a code, okay, it could be Java, .NET, maybe Node.js, okay, Python, any type of code base, okay, we can deploy those type of application into this app service. So this app service we majorly use it for deploying an application. Okay, so within this app service, okay, we have a different app services. Okay, we have a web app. Okay, so we also have a function Azure functions, and we have logic app. So as part of my training, okay, I'm mainly concentrating on only on a web app. So these are all okay coming in advanced level. So here, okay, let's see how we can create a web app, okay, and how we can deploy a sample.NET application also. Okay, so while creating a web app, what are the functions we have, and everything we'll discuss in detail. Okay, so if you want me to walk you through the document, okay, so I can go here. I just simply say Azure app service docs. Okay, so we are discussing about the app services. So if I go to this particular documentation, okay, here you could see app services documentation from the Microsoft. So if I go to the overview page, if you know about the what exactly this app service is about, so app service is a HTTP based service for hosting the web applications. Okay, REST API calls. REST API calls is nothing but, so we can deploy some other application in let's say API is nothing but an application interface. Let's say for example, if somebody have some UI, let's say for example for booking the flights, let's say for example I'll take an Indigo flight, right? So for Indigo flight booking, we can do it okay in a multiple websites. We can go with a Go Ibibo something. We can go to some Paytm also. Okay, from multiple places, okay, we can book the Indigo flight. So this Indigo company will be exposing this API, okay, to book their flights. Okay, that is called API, that is application interface, application programming interface. So we can use the REST APIs also, okay, for deploying any sample application on top of your web app, and some mobile backend, some mobile apps also we can deploy on top of this particular web app. And why do we use the app services? Here you could see, okay, it is supported for the multi-language and frameworks. So you can deploy ASP.NET application, okay, .NET Core, Java, Ruby, Node.js, PHP, and Python. Okay, so here, okay, so it is kind of a managed service, whereas if you see IaaS solution, an IaaS solution, if you wanted to host a website, what we are doing, we are creating a VM, and within a VM we are enabling the service called web server. In case of Windows machines, what we have done, we have enabled the web server called IIS, that is Internet Information Services. But in case of Linux, we have seen how to enable the Nginx, right? So but whereas okay, so when it comes to the web app, okay, it is not required anything. So that underlying hardware, okay, that kind of requirement, everything will be taken care by Microsoft. It's kind of a PaaS service. It's a managed service. And we can also you might have heard about this containerized technology, right? You might have heard about Dockers and Kubernetes. Okay, so whereas like these concepts are like so we'll create a kind of image, okay, to host an application instead of the code, and we can just deploy as a container. So probably this is a kind of advanced topic, so I don't want to confuse you guys. And we can also perform the DevOps optimizations on top of this web app, okay, by using the DevOps tool chains, okay, we can host our application by the continuous integration and continuous deployment. So this we are going to discuss as part of my Azure DevOps sessions. And global scale with a high availability. So we can just create the web apps, okay, across the globe, and we can scale it also. That means, so we can just uh, create a multiple web apps, and we can route the traffic to this particular multiple web apps, okay, hosted in a different locations. And likewise, okay, we have a many more uh, advantages. Okay, and today I'm going to show you a sample demo, okay, creating a sample app service, that is web app. And after creating a web app, I'll show you how to host a sample ASP.NET application. So probably you can take a lab as a hosting any one of the applications here. Okay, these are sample applications as you could see, and we'll see how we can do that also. Okay, so let me quickly go back to my portal, and here I'll just simply type web app. Okay, here you could see app service. I think somebody has already created one app service. That's fine. So let me go ahead and create one app service. So this app service I'm creating, okay, for hosting any kind of website. So let's say here, okay, I'll create one new resource group. I'll just name it as app service search. And coming back to the name, this name has to be unique. And whenever you create an app service, okay, a specific unique URL will be created. Let's say this I'll name it as test. Okay, I think it is not already, it is already occupied. And let me keep it as some different number. Yeah, test2413.azurewebsite.net will be your website URL. And here you could see for publishing the code, okay, you can go with the code or a containerized Docker container. So for now, I'll just simply go with the code. And coming back to the runtime stack. Okay, so based on the kind of programming framework or a language that you choose, okay, the operating system will be changed. Let's say, for example, if I go with the ASP.NET, ASP.NET is supported only on a Windows machines. Okay, it is not supported on a Linux machines. Similarly, if I go with the Java, okay, Java is supported on a both Windows and Linux, but it is more secured on a Linux machines. Same way, if I go here, you could see within a Java, okay, I have to choose some more extra web server. So we have a Tomcat and JBoss. If I choose Node.js, even Node.js also I have both Windows and Linux. Similarly, if I go with the Python, okay, so this is a Python. So Python is mainly supported only on a Linux, not on Windows. Okay, so likewise, okay, so you can go with any one of the runtime stack. So for now, just for the demo, I'll go with the ASP.NET. Let's say here, I'll go with the ASP.NET version 4.8, and it is only supported on a Windows. So that means, okay, in the backend, Microsoft itself, okay, will provide an app service plan that is called app service environment. Okay, so whereas, okay, so it will, maintain this particular, compute and storage. We'll discuss about those also now. And coming back to the region, let me choose a different region. Okay, I'll go with the Southeast Asia. Okay, and this is about the app service plan. So whenever if you wanted to host any application, right, in the back end, you need certain, a server, okay, which will help you to, host your application and to provide some computing and storage power. So this is the app service plan. Okay, so here you could see app service plan. Okay, this is something about the pricing. Okay, so which will, provide you the features like, compute resources and storage and kind of network. These facilities will be provided by this particular app service plan, and this entire app service plan will be managed by Microsoft. You just have to choose the what type of storage, how much compute resources that you require. Okay, so by default, since I'm creating a free trial account, okay, so here, okay, it is asking me to go with the free one. So when you go with this particular free version, okay, so it will be free for the 1 year. In the beginning we discussed, right, so some of the services, okay, will be completely free for up to 1 year. But here for the app service, that is web app, when you go with a free standard SKU, okay, it will be free for the complete 1 year. And here it will be given with a very limited infrastructure. So here I'm going with the default app service. Okay, later we can go ahead and change this particular SKU. So this is pretty much okay on a basic. And when I go to the deployments, okay, this is pretty much about hosting some deployments, okay, using certain CI/CD setup. Let's say if you have a code somewhere in a GitHub repository or somewhere, okay, here you could see GitHub account. We can just pull the code from there also. So for now, I'll just say disable it. And to monitor your web application, okay, so we're going to create a application insights here. So for monitoring our infrastructure, we already discussed about, Azure Monitor, if you remember. Okay, so by using Azure Monitor, okay, we are monitoring, okay, VM's health status and VM, CPU utilization, network in and out, discrete rates operations, and rest of the stuff, right? And Azure Monitor is one of the inbuilt, it's a Microsoft native tool, okay, to monitor our infrastructure. But when it comes to the application monitoring, okay, we go with the application insights. Remember this, guys. Application insights, okay, we use it for the application monitoring, and this is also Microsoft native monitoring tool for the monitoring your applications. Okay, so here I could see, okay, enable the application insights. Okay, when I say yes, it is creating a new application insights, okay, with the name called tester2413, and it is hosted in the same Southeast Asia region. Okay, whatever the region, okay, that you have chosen for hosting your web application in the same region, okay, this application insight will be created. And coming back to the tags, okay, if you wanted, you can give the some tags, and I'm not giving any tags at this moment, and I can simply say review and create. And here you could see the complete review, and you can just simply say create. If I go back to my portal, so here you could see, so we'll see, okay, for hosting a sample application now, I will go with the Visual Studio Code. Okay, if you wanted to go with the Visual Studio, so this is the procedure, but I wanted to go with the Visual Studio Code, which is very easy. If you wanted to go with the command line, you can go with the command line also. But let's go with the Visual Studio Code. So when you wanted to go with the Visual Studio Code, okay, so I'll walk you through the step-by-step document, this one. So in this quick learn, okay, you will learn how to create and deploy a first ASP.NET Web App to Azure App Service. Okay, so if you wanted to see how to create an app service, okay, you can go through this particular document. Just go here. Yeah, here they just mentioned the overview. So what we have seen already. And look at the prerequisites here. So we need a free trial account, which we already have, and we need to download the VS Code. Okay, if you want to see, you can just click on this particular link. It will navigate to, okay, downloading your VS Code. So you can just come down. So this is a Visual Studio Code you need to download, and you can just simply say free download for whatever the operating system. So here you could see Windows 64. If not, you can just simply go to the Google and just type, okay, so VS Code, I can say download. Okay, it will again navigate to this particular specific, download page, and from here also you can just download VS Code. Fine, I'm done with the downloading the VS Code, and I have already installed it. Okay, this is the VS Code which I'm using already. And if at all, if you wanted to use, I'll tell you how to open it also. So just download it, and later, okay, we need to download this particular extensions. I need to install this Azure Tools extensions. We'll see that now. So what I will do is, okay, to open my VS Code, okay, to do all these activities, I'll go to my desktop, and here I'll create a one folder, and I'll just name it as App Service. Okay, I've created a folder called App Service, and I'll open this particular folder. And here, when I do right click, I will get an option to open it with a VS Code. That means, okay, my VS Code will be opened on a specific location now. Okay, I say yes, trust this authorization, and here you could see I'm into this folder now. Okay, so now it is recommending to install this particular tools, right? Azure Tools. Okay, so I can click on this. Okay, it will go to this particular Azure Tools. If not, I can come back to my same VS Code, and here I have an extensions tab. If I go to the extension here, and here, okay, I can just install whatever the extensions it is asking for. Okay, it is asking you to install Azure Tools, right? Okay, let me enter the Azure Tools, and this is Azure Tools, and this is the extension, okay, I need to install on my VS Code. Let me install it. So this is the extension page. Okay, so whatever the additions, okay, you wanted to add to your VS Code, so you need to come back and you need to add it here. And here you could see the installation is in progress, and when you install it, okay, so these are all the extension packs. Okay, you will get it almost 12 packs. Okay, so in this, okay, this app service plan also, this Azure app service is also involved. Okay, so wait for the installation. So once it is done, okay, we'll proceed with the additional things. Meanwhile, let me come back here. I'm done with all of these prerequisites, and here I'm using this particular specific, .NET, right? Okay, so here you could see .NET 3.1. Okay, this is the uh, different versions. Okay, I can take it and I can just host some application. But before you go ahead and do that, okay, so you need to have this particular you know .NET framework developer pack you have to install on your local system. Okay, so this is the prerequisites. So after performing the prerequisite installation here, having a Pretel account, having a VS Code, and within a VS Code installing this particular extensions, you need to install this particular .NET framework on your local system. So let's say here I wanted to go with any one of the latest ones. So let's say I wanted to go with the .NET 3 or 5, whatever it is. Let's go with the .NET 4.8. Okay, so before that, let me install this particular .NET Framework 4.8 developer pack. Okay, I'll click on it, and here you could see it is routed me to the .NET Framework 4.8 download page in a Microsoft documentation itself. And here I need to install this particular developer pack. Okay, so let me come back here. So this is the one, right? Install .NET Framework 4.8 developer pack. So .NET Framework 4.8 developer pack. So this is the one, okay, I need to install. I'll say download it. So now we could see I'm installing this particular .NET 4.8 developer pack. So which is downloading, which is almost like a 141 MB. So as a prerequisite, okay, I need to install this also, okay, to generate a sample .NET code on my local system. So once it is done, I can come back here and I can just simply say I can create a new web app. Okay, so with this particular specific, version, and then I can run this particular .NET. Let's wait for it. Here I'm in the download option at this moment. I think almost done. Yeah, let me open it. Okay, I agree the conditions and license. I say install it. Yeah, started the progress. Meanwhile, let's see the progress of this particular installation here. Okay, which is already done. Cool. So when I install this particular Azure tools, here you could see these are the additional extensions, okay, which I'm coming. I'll go to this particular Explorer, and here is my app service plan where I have app service folder where I have opened. Cool. So let me come back here and setup is successful. Let me close it. Now I'm done with all my prerequisites. Okay. So now what I have done is I have opened this particular VS Code and a specific folder. This is the one, right? So this is the app service folder. So this is the folder which I have opened on my local system. So now to execute some of the commands, I can open a terminal here from the top. Here is a terminal. I say no terminal. Okay. By default, okay, it will be opened on this particular folder path. Now let's go to the document. Okay, so I need to execute this particular CLI command, .NET CLI command. I have installed the .NET developer pack so that this particular .NET command will work. If you do not have a .NET developer pack to be installed on your local system, this particular .NET command will not work. Similarly, okay, so you can just compare with your AG modules or a PowerShell modules. If those modules are not present on your local system, it will throw you the error. Okay, the name AZ is not recognized, some kind of error you will get. Similar way here also. Let me copy it. I'll come back to my terminal and I'm already on the specific path and I just simply paste it. So here I'm entering a .NET, no web app. I'm creating a sample web app. I'm targeting for the framework. Okay, that is 48, that is 4.8. Okay, I'll just click on enter. And here you could see some of the things. Okay, it is coming as a .NET is not recognized as the name of the commandlet. So sometimes, okay, what happens is, okay, so whatever the execution policy that you have, right, it might be restricted. Okay, you need to make it as unrestricted. Okay, so let me see what is my execution policy here on my PowerShell terminal. So here, okay, I'm using a PowerShell terminal. You can use the normal PowerShell terminal also, but I'm just using the PS Code. So what is a command to see what is my execution policy? Can somebody tell me? We discussed already.
Get hyphen unrestricted.
So first,
Execution.
okay, to see, okay, so get hyphen execution policy, we can say. And can you see my execution policy is restricted? So that is the reason, okay, whatever the module that I have installed, it is not loading and it is giving it is not recognized. Always make sure, okay, so this execution policy should be either unrestricted. Okay, if you wanted to see, okay, all the list of execution policy, you can just simply say, okay, uh, list hyphen execution policy. Okay, I can use the get hyphen execution policy hyphen list something. Yeah. Okay, so if you want to see what kind of execution policies we have, okay, so I think this is the one. Okay, so everywhere, okay, I have undefined local mission, current user, process, user policy, and everything. So let me make it as a unrestricted now. I'll say set hyphen execution policy as unrestricted. So whenever if I wanted to do those kind of activities, the first thing what I have to do is I need to open my PowerShell as a administrator. So probably here it will not work. So let me open my PowerShell here and I will make it as a run as an administrator. Okay, here I say get hyphen execution policy. It will be restricted. Okay, let me make it as a set hyphen execution policy as an unrestricted. Okay, it will ask for the permission. Yes. Okay, now if you want to see get hyphen execution policy, it will say unrestricted. Now I can just close this particular VS Code and I can just simply reopen it from this particular specific path, and so that I can open the VS Code in the same path, and whatever the files I'm going to generate now, it will be stored in this particular folder. So now let me open a new terminal here and let me copy and execute the same command. So this is the command. I'll copy it, I'll paste it. Okay, I'll say enter. Okay, it is still showing it is not recognized. 1 second. And let me do from here. I'll change the path to the respective folder where I have opened. Let me open this one. I'll take this path. Okay, to change the path, okay, you can just simply say cd and clear the screen, and let me try to keep this command again. .NET is not recognized in a command function specific program. Click the spelling, the path was included, verify that the path is correct and try again. I think I also need to install some other packages. Let's say I'll come back here. Let me install this particular .NET framework also. I'm not sure whether this .NET framework is present on my system or not. I just install the developer pack, right? Let me install this particular framework also. Okay, your intention will not occur. See below reason why. .NET framework or a later update already installed on this computer. Okay, that means okay, it is telling that okay, it is already present. Okay, good. So let me try to close all of this VS Code. I'll try to reopen it from here. Yeah. Okay, so let me try to execute that commands again. I'll go here, I'll copy it, I'll paste it. Okay, still it is throwing the same thing. Okay, let me go with the command line interface. Okay, when I go with the command line interface, so it is asking me to install this particular .NET SDK and developer pack. Okay, so I think this SDK is already present. Okay, let me try to copy this command and I'll paste it. So here I'm getting different error. Let's go with the 5.1. I'll copy it. I'll paste it. .NET 2 web app, my web apps. I'll copy it. So enter. Let me try to install this particular, what do you call, latest version of .NET also. .NET 5.0. The latest version. This is the one. And this is SDK. Let me go with the operating system. I'll say this. Okay, so if you look at the compatibility also, okay, when you use the Visual Studio, it is compatible only with the Visual Studio 2019. Some of the SDKs, okay, will not be compatible with some other Visual Studios versions. Okay, let's see this. Let me try to open this. I'll say install. Okay, it is failing because okay, this installation is already present. Okay, I'll come back. So I was trying to do both Visual Studio Code and command line interface. So I'm not sure why this is not supported on the system. Sometimes what we have to do is, okay, we need to see whether this particular service is running or not. Okay, when you install this particular .NET, right? When you go to your C drive, so within your C drive, okay, so you'll be able to see a option called, when I go to the program files 36, okay, somewhere here you could see .NET SDK, Microsoft SDKs. So within this, okay, I should be having a .NET folder here, either here or hold on. I think it is .NET is not properly installed. Let's verify it again. That's the reason I'm getting this error. So it should be either program files. So here I should be having a separate file called .NET, separate folder altogether. Let's go to my downloads again. So this is the developer pack. Let me rerun it. Let's say I'll repair it. if this particular developer pack is not installed properly, okay, whatever the command that you're executing, right, okay, this .NET will be coming it as a not recognized one. Okay, the setup is successful this time. Let me go ahead and validate. Okay, I'll go here, I'll go to my C drive, and in a C drive somewhere I should be having a .NET folder. I think something path issue, I'm not sure. This is Visual Studio 8. Okay, uh, we'll see this. Let me come back. Ideally sometimes, okay, I might have to restart my system. So to avoid those in situations, okay, what I can do is, let me come back to the document. So probably, okay, we can go with the Visual Studio also, but when you go with the Visual Studio, so we need to create a we need to have a Visual Studio 2019 to be installed on a specific server. What we can do is, okay, we can create a one sample VM, and within a VM we can host a Visual Studio also. Okay, and after installing the Visual Studio, this is the Visual Studio code which I have installed on my local system, but this is a Visual Studio. So we can go with the community version, and within that, okay, so we can, take a sample project like this. Okay, what you could see, okay, you can just, create a web application, sample web application, and we can just, host it into your web app. Okay, so what I was trying to do is, okay, I just created a web app. Okay, here you could see, so this is the web app. The name of the web app, okay, I took it as a test 2413. And later, okay, now I'm creating to generate a sample code, okay, by using this particular different environments, development environments. First one will be like a Visual Studio Code, so which I cannot set up on my local system. And second thing, I was trying for the Visual Studio Code, which I have already installed. Okay, so then, okay, I can also try with the command line. So to use these two, so we need to have these prerequisites. Okay, as part of it, okay, when I try to install this, uh, if you are developing .NET Framework app with a Visual Studio Code, consider using the Windows Mission to satisfy the build dependencies. So this is what, okay, I was missing, it seems. Consider using the Windows Mission to satisfy the build dependencies. Okay, here I'm using the Visual Studio Code. That's the reason, okay, I'm facing some issue here. Ideally, when you install this particular developer pack, right? So somewhere within this particular program files, okay, you will be able to see a separate folder called .NET. Okay, I think somewhere here. Okay, so that folder is not yet appeared here, so that's the concern now. Why is it? Fine then, if it is not working, so probably let me quickly try to create a one sample VM, and within a VM, okay, I'll go ahead and create a I will go ahead and install a Visual Studio, and within a visual by using the Visual Studio, so we can just go ahead and create take a sample project, and later we can deploy it. Okay, so let me come back here. Looks like, okay, some issue with my local system. Okay, let me go, let's see, do I have any VMs here? Let me try to create one VM. Let's say I'll create it. Okay, so let's say I'll go with the test RG. I'm going to create a one sample VM. Okay, I'll say Visual Studio VM. Okay, let's go with the Studios, and I'm taking the default sizes here, and I'll say Azure user, and let me give some password as well. We can take a development environment multiple ways. So the first two ways, okay, are not working due to my local system issue. So probably if you wanted, you can go with any one of the Node.js application also, not if not ASP.NET. So here, okay, for a Node.js, okay, here you could see. So Visual Studio. So to use this particular Visual Studio, so we need to have this particular Node.js and npm to be installed on your local system. So let me try this Node.js app. If not, okay, here you could see how to deploy it. Okay, step by steps. Okay, let me show you for the Node.js. Maybe I'll install this particular versions. Okay, let's say I'll install this Node.js also. And let's wait for this to be downloaded. Meanwhile, I'll also create a VM here. If it is not working, we'll go ahead and install the Visual Studio on the VM. I'll open it. I'll say next. I'll accept it. I'll say next, next, next. Automatically install the necessary tools. Next and install. And if at all if I wanted to host a Node.js application, okay, I need to change my web app runtime stack. Okay, I think which is not possible, I guess. Okay, so this is the one which I have created, right? Okay, for this, okay, so if I go to this, okay, here you could see the complete runtime stack I have chosen as a .NET, right? So that I need to change. One second, guys. Let's see this. Okay, it is done. Press key to continue. Okay, which is already present. If I go to the configuration, not sure will it allow or not. Let's see. Not this is the one. Let me go to the properties. I think ideally it will not allow me to change this particular runtime stack. I have to create a new web app again. Okay, considering the Node.js application. Let's see whether it is working or not first. Then I'll see. Python is not installed. Okay, so it is looking for all the dependencies. Which is trying to install the Python also on my local system. Okay, let's see this. So here what I was trying to do is for the same web app, I'll go here. So we have created app service. Okay, here, okay, I can host a different, type of code-based applications. So first I tried with ASP.NET. So I think there is some issue with my local system. So whenever I install this particular developer pack, so it is not showing it. Okay, so with the respect to versions, what I wanted. Okay, let's say if I go with the Visual Studio Code, so it will ask you to install this particular developer pack, that is SDK. So which is not, showing me on my local system. So I'm not sure. That's where I went with the Node.js. For the Node.js, when I wanted to use the VS Code, so this setup, okay, is required, okay, to generate a sample code, and later, okay, we can just go ahead and host this particular application into your web app. So let's see what is happening here. Okay, which is still downloading. Fine. Meanwhile, I'll try to set up a one more web app, okay, which is supporting for the Node.js. Okay, I'll go to the app service. I'll create a one new app service. And here, okay, let me choose the same resource scope, that is test app service RJ. And here I'll just name it as Node.js 2413. Okay, so here the runtime stack. Okay, so here, okay, let me choose the Node.js. Yeah, so this is the one where it is. Yeah, no, let's go with the 14. Okay, And let me choose the different region. I'll go with the Southeast Asia itself. And here also it is creating a new app service plan. So we'll talk about app service plan later point of time. So for now, let me create it. And by default, monitoring will be enabled. If you look into here, okay, let me enable the monitoring also. It will create a new app insets again. Let me create it. So it is trying to install all the dependencies which are required. So it is installing a Python also on my local system. Let's wait for this. Let's say I'll do refresh. Here you could see Node.js. Okay, here you could see the complete information. So this is the okay, files okay which are getting installed. So likewise, okay, when I install the developer pack also, I will be getting a separate folder called .NET, which I'm not able to get it here. That I need to check. Okay, so there should be some issue with my local system. Okay, here you could see this is all the complete process and the dependencies which is downloading. Let's close it. We'll wait for this installation, this dependency installation for hosting a sample Node.js application. So yeah, here you could see. So this is the app service that I have created. I just named it as a Node.js. If you wanted to browse this particular sample web app, here you could say browse, or else okay, you can use the same URL. So if I say browse, a specific web browser will be opened with this particular FQDN, that is fully qualified domain name. That is name of my web app. I have given it as a Node.js 2413, and by default, okay, the remaining name will be coming as Azure Websites.net. And this is the default, URL will be generated, and you can just later we can create a custom domain also. So we'll see how we can create a custom domain later. Seems like okay, it is installing so many dependency files. If I go to my program files, let's see here. Okay, so meanwhile this is also still loading. Let me try to open another web app. Let's say I'll go here. I'll go to the app services, and earlier I have created one app service called test. Okay, this is for the ASP.NET. And if I try to browse it, okay, it is also having the same web app name dot Azure Website.net. And by default, okay, so when you create a web app, so this is the default page will be given. But when you host a sample code on top of your web app, okay, so whatever the code okay you're hosting, okay, it will be shown here. So here you could see this is for the Node.js one. Why is it coming unsecured? Okay, so we'll wait for this particular dependencies to be installed. Then we'll go ahead and deploy a sample Node.js application. If not, sometimes okay, I'll try to reset my system later today. And if I'm getting this particular .NET, okay, already installed somewhere here, we can go with the .NET application also. We'll show the both Node.js as well as .NET application hosting. So for that, okay, maybe since it is taking too much time for installing these particular dependencies, for today, what you can try is you can go to this particular documentation. Okay, you can just create a sample web app. Okay, so whatever the application you wanted, you can choose the runtime stack with respect to that. And let's say if you wanted to host a Java application, Node.js or ASP.NET or a Ruby, whatever it is, just choose it accordingly and go with this particular development environment. Let's say if I go with the ASP.NET. Okay, so for ASP.NET, probably you can go with this particular VS Code or a command line. Okay, installing a Visual Studio on your local system requires minimum 8 plus GB RAM. Just don't go with this. Try to do both of these. So when you go with the Visual Studio, so you need to install all of these particular prerequisites. And with respect to the .NET Core versions, if you are using, okay, you have to install any one of these. And once you go with it, you can just execute the samples commands. So when you execute the sample commands, what will happen is, okay, a sample code will be, created for, hosting a sample like a ASP.NET application whatsoever. And later you can run it. And when you run it to test it, okay, you can just, open it with a local host on this particular specific port number, that is 5001. And this is running on your local system. And later we can just publish this particular build into your web app by following this particular sample procedure. Okay, so within a VS Code, okay, when you go to this particular extension called we have installed this extension, right? So when you go here, so here it will give you option to log into your Azure portal. So when you log into the Azure portal, so here it will display the complete web apps that you have in your Azure portal. Then we can just deploy it. Okay, you can just go through this particular step-by-step documents. And later once you change something, okay, you'll be able to see that those changes also here. Okay, so this is how do we create a web app and how we can host an application. Probably I want you to try it. If not, okay, I'll check the some of the dependencies which I'm missing on my local system, especially for the .NET. And for the Node.js, I think it is still installing all the dependencies. Let's wait for this. So from my terminal here, from here, okay, I can just simply sign in. I can go to this Azure symbol. Let me try to sign in right now. So let me choose the same account and you're signed in now. You can close this page. This is from the Visual Studio Code. Let me close it. So if I come back to my VS Code, I can see my list of subscription, what I had an access earlier. And at this moment, I'm using a subscription called Bonopriya. And here I can see the list of web apps that I have created just now. So I have created Node.js and test2412, right? So if I go here for the Node.js, here I could see the complete files related to that. And same with the test. Let me minimize this rest of the stuff. Okay, and here it is. That is app service. Okay, it has taken too much time than expected. Probably meanwhile, let me go to my VM, what I have created. From there also I can install the Visual Studio and then I can try. Let's try multiple ways. I'll copy this IP. Let me take an RDP. I'll paste it. Sorry. Okay, let me choose it. So within a VM, okay, and now let's see. Okay, I'll try to install this particular Visual Studio, not the Visual Studio Code. Probably I can also install the Visual Studio Code and some other developer packs on my VM also. If there is a problem with my local system, let me try to install them here. Okay, what I will do is I'll take this documentation. Okay, for hosting ASP.NET, I'll try to do entire setup on my from my VM. Okay, sometimes if your local system not supported, okay, you can do the labs, okay, within a VM itself. So to do that, okay, I'll go to my local server. Okay, to use my browser, I will enable this but disable this particular security configuration. Okay, now let me open my Internet Explorer. So this is my Internet Explorer. So let me put the URL here. I'll say ask me later and I'll put it. So this is the document. So if I come down, so which is asking you to download this particular Visual Studio. Let me download this particular Visual Studio code, and in parallel, let me try to install this particular tools later after creating installing the Visual Studio code. And now let me install this particular 5.0. When I go with the 5.0, so it will ask you to install this particular .NET framework. First, let me install the VS Code. So this is the VS Code. Let me download it for the Windows machine. Same way, I'll go here. Let me close the VS Code download. Now let me install this particular framework as well. If you look into this, okay, this browser is not supported properly. Why download is not happening? I think this particular VS Code is outdated. Let me try to download the Google Chrome. Then from there, okay, I'll try to set up all this stuff. Download Google. If you know, okay, so last year itself, okay, so I think Microsoft has stopped, supporting this IE, that is Internet Explorer. So you need to migrate to either Edge or maybe you need to use the other browser like a Chrome. So that's where it is not supporting any downloads and other stuff. So let's wait for this to be done. Then I'll try to show you the setup here. Okay, let me do this here. Okay, so now here I wanted to install the Visual Studio Code. Let me download the Visual Studio Code for the Windows. Now you can see I'm able to download because this IE is not supported anymore. And later, let me install this very quickly. So when you're installing the Visual Studio Code, so make sure that, okay, you need to enable some of the options. The user installed is not meant to be run as an administrator. If you wanted to like to install the VS Code or download the system install instead of from the, okay, I accept all. Okay, Visual Studio Code. Make sure that, okay, this options you enable it. Okay, to open the Visual Code from anywhere. Okay, open the code from the Explorer and other context. I'll say install. Meanwhile, let me download this developer pack also. Okay, so this is the developer pack I need to download. See within Azure VM, okay, how fast it is because it's a Microsoft network. Okay, I'll say finish it. Now I have the Visual Studio Code ready, and let me try to install this additional package also. Let me accept these terms. I'll install it. So when you install this particular .NET developer pack, right? Okay, so within your uh, this particular C folder, okay, you should verify where it is installing. So when I go to this particular framework, I think it is program file somewhere here. Okay, you'll be able to get a folder called .NET. So once it is done, so meanwhile, okay, let me install this extensions here. So I need to install the extension called Azure Tools. Okay, so this is the Azure Tools. Okay, let me install. So meanwhile, it will be installed. So we'll wait for this particular .NET Framework developer pack to be. So which is still in progress. Let's wait for it. Okay, so looks like okay, it is expecting more time. So probably for today, what you can do is okay, try to set up this particular development environments. Okay, try to do follow this particular prerequisites. So once you're done with this, okay, I'll say this particular document, go through it, take this sample code, later okay, run this particular code, and to test that particular code, okay, you can open a web browser on your local computer and enter this particular URL, local host on this particular port. You'll be able to get a sample website like this website, okay, you can just publish into your web app. So go through this particular step by step. If you're not able to do it, probably we'll see this again tomorrow. So we're already at on time. I have another call now, so just go through it. Still if you're not able to make it, so we'll see this later. All right, so I'm stopping my session here.